Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. Emperor Kangxi had many children during his lifetime, with a total of 35 sons and 20 daughters. The number of his offspring was closely related to the numerous concubines in his palace. According to some incomplete statistics, Kangxi had over 60 consorts with official ranks, and the number of women without official ranks, such as palace attendants and maids, was even larger. It was these women who made up the complex harem of Emperor Kangxi. Among the many concubines, Kangxi had the deepest affection for Xinli, who was his first empress. Unfortunately, she passed away when Kangxi was still young. And this deep affection did not have the chance to continue for long. After Xinli's death, Kangxi went through several favored consorts, though few enjoyed the same long-lasting favor as Xinli. It wasn't until the arrival of Consort E that a woman would once again earn such high regard. Consort E, as a particularly significant figure in Kangxi's harem, was beloved by the emperor for an extended period and to an unparalleled degree. Historical records state that Kangxi was deeply devoted to her, and she can be considered one of the emperor's most favored consorts in his later years. Consort E accompanied Kangxi for 45 years, becoming the closest person to him in the palace. Her favored status not only stands out in history, but she also frequently appears in Chinese historical dramas like Kangxi's Private Visits, shaping many people's perception of life in Kangxi's harem. However, after Kangxi's death, Consort E did not meet a happy ending. Her fate took a drastic turn. After Emperor Yongzheng ascended the throne, he launched a severe crackdown on her, leading to her suffering in her later years. Her two sons also fell victim to Yongzheng's persecution. One was suppressed, and the other was driven to death. As a mother, Consort E experienced the pain of losing her children and truly felt the sorrow of an old parent burying a young child. Ultimately, Consort E passed away in isolation outside the palace, her tragic end contrasting sharply with the glory she had enjoyed by Kangxi's side. So, what kind of person was Consort E, and why was her story so complicated? Why did Emperor Yongzheng detest her so much, seeing her as a thorn in his side? According to relevant historical records, the 16th year of Kangxi's reign was a special year for the emperor. In this year, the situation in the Qing dynasty began to change. Kangxi led the Qing army to successfully reverse the situation in the revolt of the three feudatories, trapping Wu Sangui's rebellious forces in the southwest, with the situation gradually turning favorable for the unification of the Qing dynasty. With the situation improving, Kangxi decided to revitalize the palace and ordered the resumption of the imperial selection of concubines, which had been suspended due to the three feudatories' war. The goal was to select new consorts to bring blessings and children and to inspire morale, thereby reviving the energy of the imperial palace. After receiving the order, the imperial household department became busy, selecting 62 beautiful women from the 8 banners. After several rounds of screening, Kangxi finally selected 9 of them. Being chosen was a significant achievement, as the Qing dynasty had strict requirements for the women selected. Not only their family background, appearance, conduct, and manners had to be considered, but they also had to meet a series of standards. What was surprising, however, was that 2 daughters of Guoluoluo, a hereditary official from the Xinjiang, located in the true yellow banner, were chosen to enter the palace. These 2 sisters were 24-year-old Bainzu and 18-year-old Nailanzhu. Even more surprising was that although Bainzu was older and had been married before entering the palace, her husband had died young and she had no children. Normally, this would not have met the selection requirements, and why she was selected remains a mystery. Nailanzhu, who later became Consort E, was only 18 at the time. Her family was not particularly prestigious. Her grandfather was a Bao Izwaling, and her father held the same hereditary position as a Sanguan Bao.
The title, Bao Yi Zuoling, referred to a nobleman's attendant or head of security. While considered a noble, the family's rank was not high compared to true noble families. Nonetheless, entering the palace was still a rare opportunity. Typically, women of Consort Yi's background would start as palace maids and only gradually receive higher ranks after several years or after giving birth to a child. But Consort Yi was promoted to a pin, a mid-level rank, within just 4 months. Skipping several lower ranks such as agreeing, a lower-ranked consort, and a noblewoman. Directly receiving the title of pin. This rapid promotion could be described as playing on easy mode. Why did Consort Yi receive such rapid favor from Kangxi? The answer does not lie in her distinguished family background or her childbirth but in the simple fact that Kangxi deeply liked her. In the Imperial Palace, receiving the Emperor's favor was a woman's greatest asset and the key to rising to the pinnacle of power and wealth for her family. In stark contrast to Consort Yi's rapid rise was Empress Dowager Waya, the mother of Emperor Yongzheng. She entered the palace 4 years earlier than Consort Yi but was only promoted to pin 2 years later, and she only received the title after giving birth to Yongzheng. This shows how special Consort Yi's position was in Kangxi's heart, being promoted to pin without a child, highlighting the profound love and importance Kangxi placed on her. This was just the beginning of her favored career. In the 18th year of the Kangxi reign, Imperial concubine Yi gave birth to Kangxi Emperor's 5th son, Yinqi. Although he was the emperor's biological son, according to the customs of the Qing dynasty, concubines below the rank of the empress were not permitted to personally raise their children. Therefore, the newborn Yinqi was entrusted to the care of the noble concubine, Tongjia, of the Tongjia clan. In the 20th year of the Kangxi reign, the emperor held a grand promotion ceremony for his concubines. All those who had given birth to imperial sons were granted the title of concubine. Yi was among them and was promoted to concubine Yi. She was ranked among the 4 concubines and resided in Ikuan Palace, becoming the most favored concubine. In the imperial edict written by Kangxi for her promotion, he praised her as gentle and kind by nature, with a virtuous and prudent demeanor, highlighting her gentle and virtuous character. In the 22nd year of the Kangxi reign, concubine Yi became pregnant again and gave birth to Kangxi Emperor's 9th son, Yinti. Historical records state that concubine Yi gave birth to the 5th and 9th sons of the emperor and was the most favored among them, which further illustrates her special position in the emperor's heart. However, the emperor's affection for a concubine was not solely expressed in words. It was more often shown through tangible actions. Kangxi frequently visited Yi's residence at Ikuan Palace after court sessions, not waiting for dinner but instead making special visits to present her with gifts. Even when the emperor went on inspections, aside from reporting to the Empress Dowager, his greatest concern was concubine Yi. During every trip, he would bring back local specialties for her, a treatment not afforded to other concubines. As concubine Yi gained favor, her family began to enjoy a life of wealth and prosperity. As previously mentioned, concubine Yi hailed from the plain yellow banner, and around the 26th year of the Kangxi reign, the emperor promoted her entire family to the bordered yellow banner, the highest-ranked banner in the 8 banners system, to demonstrate his favor to her family. Kangxi also repeatedly promoted concubine Yi's father and appointed several of her brothers to official positions in the court. Moreover, to show his care and trust, especially during his 2 northern tours, Kangxi Emperor specifically stayed overnight at the home of concubine Yi's father, Guoluo Luo Sanguan Bao. On one occasion, even Empress Dowager Renshen stayed at Sanbao's residence, an immense honor for the Guoluo Luo family. Thus, although Sanguan Bao, concubine Yi's father, was merely a subordinate in the imperial household department, due to Kangxi's favor, he held a very high position within the banner, often sitting and traveling alongside the esteemed general of Shengjing.
Kangxi's special care for San Bao also extended after his death. When the emperor commissioned the top scholar Han Tan to erect a memorial for San Bao, specifically noting that the Guoluo family were relatives, indicating the special esteem the family held in the emperor's heart. If Concubine Yi's favor was only due to her youth and beauty, then the fact that she continued to receive Kangxi's affection and respect well into her later years proves that his feelings were genuine. For instance, in the 50th year of the Kangxi reign, the governor of Huguang, Chen Zhu, sent a precious Western-style fragrance box. While the younger concubines all coveted it, Kangxi gifted it to Concubine Yi. By then, Concubine Yi was already 51 years old, well past the age of competition for favor, yet the emperor still remembered her, demonstrating the depth of his affection. On another occasion, Kangxi ordered the crafting of 2 extremely rare telescopes. He kept the larger one for himself, but gave the smaller one to Concubine Yi. These gestures show that Kangxi was not only concerned with Concubine Yi's appearance but also with her care and tenderness toward him. Concubine Yi's thoughtfulness towards Kangxi was also deeply evident. Records state that she had built a Maitreya temple at Yongfeng Tun outside Disheng Gate as a place to pray for Kangxi's health and safety. To fund the construction, Concubine Yi used several thousand taels of her personal savings and donated 3 acres of land as the temple grounds. She frequently visited the temple to pray for the emperor. When Kangxi learned of this, he was deeply moved and even dispatched soldiers to assist with the temple's construction. He also had a sacred edict placed at the temple entrance, stating, civil officials must dismount from their carriages, and military officials must dismount from their horses, to show respect for Concubine Yi. Consort Yi had 3 sons in total, the 5th prince, Inti, the 9th prince, Inji, and the 11th prince, Inzhen. Inzhen passed away at the age of 12, so he did not become an important figure. Among them, Inti was always favored by Emperor Kangxi. The emperor believed that Inti was kind-hearted, simple in character, and relatively older. Therefore, in the 48th year of his reign, Emperor Kangxi granted him the title of Shuaheng Prince, marking his important position in the court. Inji was born when Consort Yi had already reached the stage where she could raise an imperial son, and she personally took care of him. From a young age, Inji was exceptionally intelligent. As he grew older, he became highly talented, mastering several languages, including Chinese, Manchu, and Russian. He was also known for his strong innovative spirit, inventing many ingenious devices, and became a remarkable inventor. However, Inji was most famous for his outstanding financial management skills and extensive social network. He was not only one of the wealthiest princes among Emperor Kangxi's sons, but his connections spanned various levels, from high-ranking ministers to ordinary citizens and members of the underworld. His wealth and connections provided him with a crucial foundation during the Battle of the Princes, the struggle for the throne between the sons of Emperor Kangxi, in the later years of Emperor Kangxi's reign. During the Battle of the Princes, Inji supported the 8th prince, Inti, and held an important position in the 8th Prince Party. He acted as the party's money bag, providing continuous funding, and took responsibility for planning and coordinating efforts. He successfully attracted many high-ranking officials to join the faction. However, after the 8th prince lost favor, Inji switched his support to the 14th prince, Inti, who was Emperor Yongzheng's full brother, helping him in the fight for the throne. He even managed to put Emperor Yongzheng, who was still known as Prince Yong at the time, into a difficult position. When Emperor Kangxi passed away in the 61st year of his reign, Emperor Yongzheng ascended to the throne, and the Battle of the Princes came to an end. Although the 8th Prince Party did not give up, they began to obstruct Emperor Yongzheng's rule in many ways, even spreading rumors that Emperor Yongzheng had usurped the throne, which threatened his position. Inji was one of the key figures behind this, making him one of Emperor Yongzheng's most hated enemies. However, Emperor Yongzheng did not immediately crush the 8th Prince party but instead adopted a strategy of dividing and weakening it. To stabilize the situation, he even entrusted Inti with an important role as one of the Grand Ministers. However, Inji, as Inti's key assistant, ultimately became a target for Emperor Yongzheng's crackdown. In the first year of Emperor Yongzheng's reign, the emperor, citing the need for a prince to serve on the front lines, transferred Inji to Xining and assigned him to the army under General Nian Gengyao. As a result, Inji was forced to leave the capital and lost his significant influence in the court. Although Inji had a close relationship with Nian Gengyao, Emperor Yongzheng sent people to closely monitor him and strictly surveilled his family in the capital. Emperor Yongzheng continued to make things difficult for Inji, causing his status to decline rapidly. After 3 years, Inji's power was completely undermined, and no one was willing to associate with him. Due to Inji's actions, Consort Yi also became a target in Emperor Yongzheng's eyes. The emperor's reasons for suppressing Consort Yi were both political and personal. Politically, he aimed to prevent Consort Yi from becoming Inji's insider, and, personally, he sought to protect the position of his biological mother, Empress Dowager Waya. When Emperor Kangxi passed away, Consort Yi was ill but, after a brief recovery, she went to pay her respects to him. However, due to her weak health and overwhelming grief, she accidentally walked ahead of the Empress Dowager during the ceremony and failed to bow immediately upon meeting Emperor Yongzheng. This greatly displeased the emperor, who saw it as a sign of disrespect for etiquette and angrily scolded Consort Yi and her attendants, causing her great embarrassment. Even after the ritual, Emperor Yongzheng was still furious and ordered an investigation into Consort Yi. It was discovered that Zhang Qiong, the head eunuch in her palace, had conspired with outsiders to privately purchase land for profit. In response, Emperor Yongzheng ordered the arrest of Zhang Qiong, Consort Yi's niece, and 12 others, sending them to Heilongjiang. However, the emperor's crackdown did not stop but grew even harsher. He accused Consort Yi of failing to maintain decorum during such a significant mourning event, comparing her behavior to that of the Empress Dowager, showing no regard for the national integrity. As a punishment, Emperor Yongzheng ordered Consort Yi to leave the palace and live at the residence of Prince Heng, Inti, within the inner city. To avoid controversy, Emperor Yongzheng once explained that this decision was based on Emperor Kangxi's deathbed instructions, which suggested that concubines with adult sons should retire to live outside the palace. However, Kangxi's will only mentioned that it was permissible, not obligatory. Consort Yi did not actively request to leave the palace, and Yongzheng's actions were clearly intended to suppress her, stripping her of her position within the palace. Shortly after Consort Yi moved out, her son, Inti, was sent to the military in Xining. These series of repressive measures directly cast mother and son into a deep abyss. Although on the surface the action seemed to have reasonable excuses, anyone with sharp insight could see that Yongzheng's moves were filled with deep political calculation and personal motives. Not long after, Consort Yi was arranged to live in the residence of Prince Heng, reuniting with her children and grandchildren, enjoying the joy of family life. While this seemed like a warm arrangement, the constant suppression of Inti by Emperor Yongzheng did little to alleviate Consort Yi's concerns. She lived in anxiety, always worrying about her son's safety. In the 3rd year of Yongzheng's reign, he accused Inti of allowing subordinates to disturb the people and sent an imperial envoy to Xining to arrest him. As a result, Inti showed disrespect toward the envoy, which angered Emperor Yongzheng. Yongzheng immediately ordered a severe reprimand of Inti, stripped him of his title, and imprisoned him. Inti's eldest son was also confined, and this unfortunate child was not released until over 50 years later, having transformed from a handsome youth to an elderly man well past 70. After Inti's arrest, Emperor Yongzheng issued a decree criticizing Consort Yi for not visiting him and the Empress for the past 3 years. This made Consort Yi feel deeply embarrassed. As a concubine of Emperor Kangxi, she was supposed to be respected by Yongzheng. But instead, he demanded that she go to the palace to pay her respects, which seemed illogical. Despite this, Consort Yi, feeling immense pressure, decided to visit the palace regularly in a submissive manner, hoping to temporarily satisfy Emperor Yongzheng. At the beginning of the 4th year of Yongzheng's reign, he began to deal with the remnants of the 8th prince's faction. Inti's name was changed to Tsai Sihai, meaning detestable person. Some of his sons were also forced to change their names. What was even more infuriating was that Emperor Yongzheng even forced Inti's brother, Inchi, to change his name as well, clearly trying to humiliate Consort Yi. In April, Emperor Yongzheng ordered that Inti be chained with iron and sent to the capital for imprisonment. Inti was locked in a sealed room with no windows, surrounded by brick walls, with almost no ventilation. Feeling lonely and fearful, Inti once requested a table to write on, but when Emperor Yongzheng learned of this, he ordered that, except for simple food, no items such as pens, ink, bed, books, or tables were to be provided. During the hot summer, Inti was confined in the sweltering room, his hands and feet bound. He fainted several times and was revived with cold water. Soon after, Inti died in captivity. The exact cause of death is still debated. Some believe it was due to heatstroke, others think it was from illness, while some even believe Emperor Yongzheng was responsible for his death. When the news of Inti's death reached Consort Yi, she was devastated and completely hated Emperor Yongzheng. But she could not resist and could only silently accept her fate. She began to fall ill frequently. But at least she had her son Inchi to accompany her, which slightly alleviated her loneliness and suffering. However, fate showed no mercy to this grieving mother. In the 10th year of Yongzheng's reign, Inchi passed away at the age of 52. Though he had enjoyed his mother's full affection, due to the crimes of his mother and brother, he was never given political recognition, which caused him great psychological pressure. After Inchi's death, Consort Yi's health rapidly deteriorated. Although Emperor Yongzheng no longer directly mistreated her after Inti's death, she always lived in fear, which undoubtedly worsened her condition. The following year, Consort Yi passed away at the age of 73 and was buried in the Imperial tombs at Jingling. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.